say,
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Figured it out.
Let's do this.
Okay, looks like you got it. Thank you, Julie.
Well, I'm just making sure that you.
Tommy,
Hey.
And I'll hit record when we're ready to go.
You want host capabilities that?
I think oh, yeah. Why don't you do that?
nope, I do not. It's too,
Okay.
you'll never get out of it.
Want that?
Well, that's why I was sitting in the truck, in the car, because
You all set,
that
John?
has the heated seat, and I was sitting there.
What's that?
All right,
That was my other car.
if you need me, let me know.
I love
Yeah,
my.
thanks.
We good?
You're good?
And
You're
we
on.
just shut the door as we go up.
Thank you,
We're
Julie.
live on YouTube now, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. You want us to do anything when we leave? Like
John will
shut
shut it down, he'll turn it off, so you can just close the.
Close the
computer.
laptop, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, it is 7:05. I would like to call the. It's 7:05. I'd like to call the Town of Allentown Planning and Zoning Commission for September 14th to order. Members present, Scott Davidson, Patricia Ray, David Neiman, Steve Stefanski. Regular members, and we have Tommy Sweet, Juliet Hodge as alternates. So there's 4 of us. It would be your turn, Tommy. We'll see Tommy tonight.
I'm back on the island.
You're back on the island.
Okay.
All right,
On the item.
next would be approval of minutes. Hold on. I'm leaving it in just so that if anybody. Approval of minutes for August 22.
I didn't see any issues.
Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for August.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Additions to the agenda, I see nothing. Citizens' comments, nobody's here. Nobody's online, is there? Okay,
I think it's just me.
okay. Whole business. Zoning regulation update discussion. Everybody got a packet? Thank you, John.
Yes, thank you.
Well, Sue made the copies.
So do you guys want to just review this over this next month and then move forward from here? If we're just getting this?
There's no way we're gonna review all this in
No,
an
not
hour.
at all.
Where did you guys leave off?
So this is a markup through, I believe, section 5.
So everything we've discussed from the beginning through section 5,
Correct.
stuff we've already, stuff we've done, yeah.
Well, But yeah, I mean, we sort of, I think you may want to do sort of another sort of look through and see if you want to basically change any of the proposed changes, or if you're okay with it, then, we'll basically accept changes and have a clean version of those first 2 sections.
I had started chapter 8 because that's what I said I would look at.
Right.
Struggling because those are like your supplemental regulations. But there's
Yeah.
supplemental regs woven in
Through,
other, so I pull them out, and pull them in here.
I don't know how hard it would be to just sort of do like a little placeholder. There's a couple of things that we did, like, home occupation is currently in section 2 definitions, and we're pulling it out to dump it into section 8. and same with like brew pubs. And there's a couple of those things that were sort of regulated by definition that we're pulling out and putting in 8.
Also, like, in your, like, chapter 6, for example, or section 6, it talks about family daycare home as a use and the use regulation, but it's written as if it's a supplemental reg.
Right. And so, yeah, we're pulling those things out. And so yeah, I think, you know,
But it
we
started-
may just have a couple of placeholders in 8, you know, where those regs are going to go when we finally redo it.
Yeah, there's bed and breakfast, group daycare home, things like that for there. You want to end up with just a table of uses, right? Potentially. Then all the text stuff in the supplemental,
I hadn't looked at that section yet at all.
not in any of the sections, like for the uses. We had talked about, I guess the last 2 times ago.
2 times ago,
You know,
yeah.
like doing like a table, but then,
Like your section would have all the wording and breakdown, but you'd have a table to refer to. Like I had to
Yeah,
pull
then
a
you put
permit
all
for
of the
something I had
text
to
in
do,
the
and I had to
supplemental.
come down and see Pete, right, then use a miscellaneous and do that, but I would have never figured it out, and come down and find out.
anyway, but
Are you, Julia, are you referring to something in your markup right there that I could put on screen?
no, it's just the way they have we have these regs formatted. It's not like a chart of uses that would, you know, just the one word, the use, and if it's a site plan or a special permit. They have actual text, a paragraph under that use sometimes.
Oh, right.
It's repetitive too. I mean, so you're wasting, you know, you don't need to say it 3 times. I was just gonna, I was gonna pull all of those out and put them into supplemental and just leave the word.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Continue with chapter 8.
Yeah, and I think I attempted to do that, you know, where again, where the meat of the regulation was mixed in with the topic.
We did it, Charles, yeah. We did it.
So if you look at like section, you know, the table for section 5.
5.2
Yeah.
permitted
Right,
uses.
right,
Yeah.
so we did-
Comments from it?
I thought we did talk about that already, yeah. So what he's done, he's put all this together for us to review.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
this was
I-
done over the end of spring, all summer.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
I
last meeting,
moved a separate
we
regulation
asked
section
that
under
we get
8.
a printed copy rather than on a computer. I can't always sit at a computer. Some of the other folks can't always sit at a computer. Plus you can make notes,
Didn't know, yeah.
that's all.
So, I mean, if I think to Mr. Chairman, to your point, if you want to have people sort of look through over the next couple of weeks, if people that want to write stuff in hard copy want to like drop off their notes in the office, then I could sort of incorporate it into the working document. So we don't have to, you know, be in a process of going line by line for hours. But yeah, I mean, whatever could be most efficient for how people like to do a markup.
And then your development standards are also scattered throughout, but in the use section instead of a development standard section.
Could you give me a quick example, Julian?
Design standards in 5.5A4, I think it is. On that one. They're
Oh,
little-
yeah. So that's, yeah, and well, that's for sort of the commercial design district, right? Or for the overlay?
there's another one.
Because I mean, so overlay is more of a design thing. I don't know if, you know, so if it's confusing to be within sort of section 5, but it is an overlay. So there are, you know, embedded design principles in there.
Oh, okay, like buildable area is in there, just saw another one. Okay, so like in section 6, the rural district regulations, you have the uses. And then you have,
Right.
Hey,
I haven't gotten in. I haven't done the markup of 6 yet.
no, I'm just as an example. 'Cause
Oh, okay. Yeah.
bed and breakfast, group daycare, they look like they belong in supplemental, fine. Then you have minimum lot sizes, frontage, lot width, yards. Again, those are all like dimensional, not uses. That's why I was trying to get up before, what style do you want it? And then.
Right. Well, so I think, I mean, that the, you know, the dimensional stuff would look like it does in 5, that, you know, 5.1, I think is the dimensional requirements. 5.2 is the permitted uses. The small blue table before the big blue table. Which would be how I would propose to do it in 6 as well. All in one place, but again, you know, there are more than one way to do it.
All right. I'll keep up with 8, just pulling like the supplemental regs and then taking the things in 8 that look like development standards and just highlighting them.
I appreciate your digging in on that.
I did start that. I didn't know which direction to go. I couldn't make it last month. Like water company expansions, that could just be in like miscellaneous, things that apply to everything. Parking and loading, that's a development standard.
We haven't gotten to that stuff yet.
I know, but
We're still
I
in
had
5.
been given the assignment of 8, so I wasn't sure what to do with it.
So do we want to look over, so we're through 5.
Yes.
Do we want to look over 6? Look through this and look over 6 and convene next month.
You want me to mark up 8 for next month? Be better if I had a deadline.
It forces you.
I'd rather go systematically.
Okay, 2 months. I thought we were looking at 6.
We kind of put everything on hold. And to me, I think we need to focus on the cannabis stuff at this point, personally.
So we can go
6.
1 through 6, then
Yeah,
And
we
then
can
do
drop off
canvas,
notes ahead of
yeah.
time or whatever, so we have them for next meeting, if anybody's got any.
So would you like me to do a markup of 6 in the next, I don't know, week or so, and Sue can get a markup printed for everybody?
Yeah, that'd be good.
that sounds good to me.
Yeah, me too.
Step 9.
They all need to get, yeah.
Yeah, they're all,
Yeah,
yeah.
They're all, I mean,
It's 8, it
we'll
was
be
8
fighting it
and
the
9.
whole way through.
9 can maybe just be supplemental regs and site development standards and see if I can fit everything that's an 8 and 9 in one of the 2.
Does anybody have any other discussion on the reg stuff?
Most of the 1 through 5 I was here for anyway.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I mean-
yeah, now I'll just look through it.
Too.
Yeah, let's just run through it. We'll get a 6, we'll run, look over that, and then next month we'll
Try
put our
and lock
blessing
them.
and move forward to the
7, 8, 9.
7, 8. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm sorry, I missed a little bit of the chatter. So Scott, could you clarify what's the plan?
So the plan is we're gonna look through the packet we got for this month. You're gonna get 6 kind of marked up and get that to us within the month. We'll look at 6 as well. We'll convene next month. Look through this and 6, put like seal of approval on it and move to 7, 8 the following month.
Great.
Let's move along to recreational cannabis regulations. Everybody got the survey?
That was actually surprised.
John, did any of that survey change from when you sent that to Sue to in the last week? 'Cause that-
Yeah, we got like 10 or 15 new responses. If you want, I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Can you folks see that? So we had an option removed. We had an original question about delivery, and delivery is not something that the towns ultimately regulate. So we removed that option. So it's really just micro cultivators and retail slash dispensaries, the green bar is generally allow. And yellow is allow, but with regulation and location specificity. And I would propose basically that those two be looked at together. Because I think it, generally allow, which would be, what the intent of that question was, to basically with a minimum of regulatory control, basically, as any retail use. But I think most things in Voluntown, that are not a single family house are basically special permit, which would be, what we would consider sort of the yellow category. So, I think you can basically kind of put those in together. And then the red is basically outright prohibition. And so if you look at the numbers, you combine generally allow and allow with restrictions, you're at, about 73% for microcultivators and about 68% for retail or dispensary. So in both cases, you have only about a third of the town saying no way. And this is, 346 responses, which is pretty significant, for a town of 2,500. It's 15%. It's a pretty good sample.
I do know, John, and I know it wasn't you that put it out,
I just read.
but when that survey came out, I know of 5 people in town that dumped it because the way that it came across, it just said it wasn't the town of Voluntown, it was like Voluntown. It was not, typically when the emails come from the town, it says town of Voluntown. So they thought it wasn't a real survey and they thought it was
So is
spam
that
and
what
they
this
dumped
stuff
it.
is?
I did tell them, no, that it was a real survey, please take it, but I do know it wasn't in a regular format. So I do worry about, is there others that got dumped?
Well, there's nothing saying that we need to close this down or avoid re-advertising the thing. If you feel like there's additional people that could be captured, by all means, let's keep it open.
Well, do we want to keep it open? Or do we want to change the questions? On which one?
Number 14.
Yeah, I saw that one. I don't know, I was thinking a little more specificity in the questions.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's like in terms of specificity?
Like one question, maybe, is the town interested in having grow facilities and then where or what locations? Like
Yeah.
what zones and give them options or something like that. Just basically try to narrow things down somehow.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, that's what zoning does.
Yes, but I mean, we have a lot of.
Well, we'll put it this way, I think the question should be as if, I know what you're trying to get at, so should it be allowed in the village district? Or
Correct.
should it not be allowed in the village district?
Yeah.
It should be like a question, what, and so
Or
that we
both.
get, right, so,
Don't
You know,
allow your
one
major
for
development
growing, one for
Is
dispensary.
commercial,
but we
is
can
only,
regulate
is
that.
only the village
How?
commercial zone?
So,
Because if for the dispensary part, you have to be, that's not a residential zone.
We also have a floating zone.
Where you
correct,
have that major development floating zone, it
Right.
can go anywhere.
right,
I mean, are you treating it like ag,
right,
which can go
which
anywhere?
technically it is.
Yeah.
And I've actually gone to a facility for the state to take a look at one. Their grow houses, they honestly, you don't know it's there.
And we built
It's,
3 of
it's
them.
literally, warehouse. They're not what people think they're, yeah.
I've worked that job.
You work,
Yeah,
see?
you wouldn't know.
No,
Their places are better, nicer than anything I've seen
I
lately.
think people more worry about the
the retail, the.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why I wanna
Refer to that.
differentiate, not
Well,
just a
and if
broad
you look
question.
at those numbers, it's
Right.
showing definitely more on the retail side that.
They don't want, yeah.
I see a lot of people are putting down, it's gonna
Not
make
like
the
number
town way too
48.
busy. Well, not really, because every town is doing this right now.
Right.
And there's one in every town.
This isn't just for Volunteer, this is across the state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Everybody's dealing with
How much
it.
of Voluntown get out of this? Get a tax revenue for the.
From the
building?
business.
Yeah, there'd be a dedicated percentage of the sales tax would additional sales tax would come to the town.
Donna,
Something like 3%. If I don't want to misquote that, but that's the order of magnitude.
are the licensing requirements still there, like that astronomical price to,
The licensing fee, even the application fee was, 7 figures.
is it still?
I think so.
They're gonna make $1,000. They're gonna make a ton of money.
Well,
No, just to apply. for the
Just to
license.
Oh, that's just to apply.
yeah,
Yeah, oh crap.
Those are only the
But
big
that's still-
corporations. If you wanted to make small people do this, I think nobody
Yeah.
small is doing that.
no, they can't afford it.
But that's still in effect? That amount?
I haven't heard anything to the contrary.
For growing too, or just to have the retail?
I thought it was both, but I do not know.
Curious, because it might be a moot point. I mean, the people that would spend that kind of money would put
In
a retail
Voluntown,
place
yeah.
in one of the urban.
They could literally
places,
pick
not the-
Lisbon, Griswold,
Right.
Preston, find a spot and go, you guys all just
Right.
travel here. Yeah. and Big companies aren't gonna waste money either.
And you're close to Rhode Island, and I'm not sure how that rule works.
But the cultivator part would definitely
I can tell
affect
you,
here.
recently, we were up in upper part of Maine, it's like every 100 feet, there was another one though.
Dispensary grower.
I wonder if they charge the same.
Massachusetts is going
fee, though.
crazy. They're still building.
I mean, Manhattan's ridiculous,
Yeah.
it's not even a block and a half.
They just did 2 more than this, and they're huge.
I mean, I could see you guys getting a, growing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think.
They can buy a personal land out in the middle of nowhere.
It's, I mean, you have your, that sort of special, industrial manufacturing overlay as a category that could be relatively easily adapted to include cultivator as a proposed use, because it is a very specific overlay, and just sort of spitballing.
I assume that's what it would come in under. Why did somebody talk about meth labs?
that's just one thing.
I wasn't told when I moved in.
Yeah, those are prohibited.
Up on Key.
Right.
Number 4,
Yeah, there was a lot.
and then number 2. Number 4, which is, like saying the same thing. You got enough fentanyl here to kill everyone in the state. And wouldn't take much.
I hate to say it, it's already happening here.
Fentanyl?
Everything.
Yeah, everything too. It was here when we were in elementary school.
Yeah.
Remember that there was a number on the telephone booth.
Yeah, I know way out.
I mean, if people in town support it, I mean, I would say you treat the retail like you do a liquor store, and you treat the cultivator like you would either
A bit.
I find the
Agriculture
retail
or,
in this
um,
town was gonna be
major
hard,
development, whatever.
because if the big thing is the location of the school, not wanting it in the village, it's not, like, where would anybody? They're not gonna wanna put a
No.
store on Lilybridge, they're gonna want it,
Right.
Or you could put requirements in that it had to be X month. Can't be
right, but then we're
closer
getting
to
tough,
the
it's like,
school.
there's no property left for that, I don't know where it would go.
Then they would have to go to that. Well, for the store, you mean?
For the dispensary
Yeah.
part, the other part, that make, no issue there.
Where Town Peace is that in the village?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that has an open.
Yeah, it goes right pretty much to the cemetery.
Oh, it does, okay. To me, if you wanted a storefront, you would want it. After that, where would you want, you're off the beaten path,
Or on that road that the post office is
Between-
on.
right, which is village. Yeah.
I thought Church Street was the trailway.
So do you think we should put out another survey?
I wouldn't mind one, just for the simple reason, like, the question, would the town be interested in a dispensary? And then the second one, would the town be interested in grow facility?
Isn't that what
Just-
these are?
Yeah, but just to, and maybe define it a little better. I don't know. How many questions were the,
Just two.
two questions?
That's why my concern is with the dispensary is.
Yeah.
We can allow just the cultivating and not the dispensing, correct?
Well, in all honesty, every single person in the state of Connecticut grows 6 plants now.
Yeah.
For personal use only.
Right, but I'm saying can we, like, as the board, make our rules for micro cultivator? And reject.
The answer is yes. That's precisely what the town of Deep River just did.
Logistically,
Oh, yeah.
so is it?
Yeah, we can
is
have
it
one and
a
not the other.
Waste of our time to go crazy trying to think of something for that when it just never worked.
Well, one, I don't think it would work. Two, I think more than, I mean, the numbers are really close. I mean, because the thing is, they were given three options: to support it, to regulate it, or
Support
to
it
not,
and-
or to say no at all. But as John's saying, okay, so let's take the regulate and put it into yes. Well, they could have obviously said
If
no
they don't
as
like the
well, you know?
regulation though that
So-
you make, there'll be a no, right?
Right, so I think if there was two, a yes and a no, I would like to see how those numbers would be. I think you'll see that the no would probably win.
Take out the generally, you have to put in a question with, regulated this and that.
Because they already outnumber them. The yeses versus the nos.
No, it means you can look at that both ways. If you take this and put it as a no, they would win. The no's would win.
But they're saying allow.
You can take that both ways.
Right, if they
They're
like the
saying
rules that we
regulate.
came out with, if they don't like what
But
we
if-
regulated, they would be, oh, no, I don't want that.
Right,
Like, oh, we're gonna put it next to the package store across from the school. Everybody would fought the no.
correct,
Right,
exactly. So I mean, that could be taken both ways.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, that would be the purpose of the public hearing when you propose your actual regulation.
Well, I'd rather kind of know it before we go down that rabbit hole.
People in Wallingtown, the majority of people in Wallingtown aren't gonna be buying from a dispensary, they're growing their own, so.
Right,
You know,
Or
so I,
do you just put allow but regulate?
Right.
And prohibit?
can we do we know any of the surrounding towns where they're at? Are we allowed to
I
find
know,
out?
I know
Yeah.
Stonington passed it.
North Stonian had a bird, a drag, because I asked to just
Yeah.
get an idea. I don't know if they passed it. Ledyard has a moratorium until December.
I'm going back to
Ryan
the
has one, I think.
dispensary part where I don't see one fitting in where anybody would want one, but
Right, I don't either.
if there was three within 10 minutes of here, do we just, no, it's not allowed, make it easy done?
yeah,
Yeah, that's all I
The
was
Nash
getting
and
at.
Tucket, I thought was interested, so, which would be
Sure.
illogical.
of
I
course,
know, I
they-
was,
yeah.
Yeah,
I was
Route 2.
surprised that they didn't. And no one
I
said
don't, I mean, I
anything.
don't think we need one up there. I don't think it would be supportive.
I don't even know where it would go, I guess is I'm starting with that. I'm not against it, just don't know where it would go.
Yeah.
That would make feasibility for
Well,
somebody that's
I mean,
gotta pay
most
$250,000 to get the license.
Most everything that I'm reading as far as, comments, they don't really want it in the village district.
So I actually read every single comment and I put a positive or a negative next to each comment. And I ended up
Positives won't comment,
getting,
very rarely.
There's some.
so there was 24 no comments. They were absolutely dead against it, and 25 yeses. And one who was just vote red. So, I mean,
it's split.
Well, that's a
Right.
pretty strong showing, because usually
Yeah.
the positive votes don't.
Yeah, and I'm
No,
actually
they don't.
surprised 346 people
And
answered the survey.
3 I marked down of the positive ones were kind of as long as it's regulated. Like should not be close proximity to the school, town hall, or library, just like the liquor store. It's one thing to need medication, but recreational, please no. I don't even know how to take that one, positive or negative.
We have the medicinal
You know,
ones now, not
yeah.
recreational. That's what the state had already, but yeah.
They generate taxes, I'm all for it. And jump quite a bit, so.
The only reason I'm kind of thinking about having another survey is just get the word out again. Now that there's buzz that we're talking about it. Maybe more people would take the survey before we walk
I think
into.
you knock it down to 2 choices though,
Yeah, I think it needs to be 2 choices.
Yeah.
because if somebody's on the fence, pick a side.
Yes.
Right.
So they don't pop up later on and
Right.
throw off what you were.
But I would say use the allow but regulate
Correct.
Well, yeah.
and prohibit.
Yeah, either cut or dry.
Yep.
Yes or no? No wishy-washy middle people.
Oh,
And one for the dispensary, right, and one for cultivation.
Right,
Right.
yeah, one for dispensary and one for cultivation.
Yep,
Maybe we can include a little thing with it. As I, well, you said some questions about medicinal versus recreational.
No, that was in the comments.
Right, so you're right, that's, I mean, so there was a comment, so can we put a little thing out, not just, here's the thing, pick yes, no, whatever, and it's for this and this, can we type up something to go with it, you know? Explaining.
Would you want also a sort of a follow-up question that if, that this could be more free response? That if you said yes, allow with regulation to indicate, any either like areas or I guess probably areas or conditions in which they would not want them. So like near the school, like, any areas where you would like to prohibit, like near the schools or out in the woods or whatever.
Like John, we had comment spot, but I've actually had things before for work where when you pick an answer, it popped up a box that what's your idea? We needed something, you needed to do, you couldn't just say
Something
yes or
more,
no,
yeah.
you had to write in there, oh, I don't want it in the town. Yeah, to make them almost,
Comments.
right,
Or you can make it easy and anticipate the typical types of restrictions that you would likely pick.
right, you
and
can
let
little
them
drop down,
select
right,
them,
Right.
Including some far out.
like location,
Yeah.
I think location is is a good one for the dispensary one. Because everybody will have a comment on that.
It could be like restrict location.
Now, does
not
the
allowed near
state
school, not allowed.
regulate the size of the grow facility?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
All right, so that's something we would have to regulate as well.
Yeah, because Pure Leaf up there inside our.
Yeah.
This thing in our packet for the
Yeah, we
cost,
did
I know, but there's, be curious to get this electronically, or if the version we got electronically, could we download that report?
Hold on. I don't know if I saw that in the packet.
It just came to you and me and Sue on
Well, can you email it?
yesterday.
Then we can download the report. There's a
Oh, yeah.
OLR report on cannabis, what to know, and they might give us some ideas.
I took
Summarize
it
which
this is
towns have
the-
had.
No, I kind of
moratoriums.
took that's the agenda, what the agenda was.
Yeah, but
Take
it
our
says
survey.
download the report now.
Okay,
Oh, is that an item in correspondence?
yeah.
That
It-
cost? Oh, okay.
It just came from Tracy yesterday morning.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys want a copy of the OLR report?
Yeah, I mean, it might,
This one. starts with
Yeah,
this one.
or this one.
Yep.
Yeah, we can, is emailing that around, is that all right?
yeah. I've been sorry for me. Was that in a version in our package that I can just get it right now?
Um,
No.
I don't,
Oh, wait.
Did she? She may have. So we want another survey.
Well, it's up to the board, but I mean, I'm in favor of
Yeah.
just to get the buzz around, just get more input from people if we
I mean,
can.
I'm impressed.
Before we
300
walk
people
into a
answered it,
room
but-
full of
Yes.
people who are gonna scream and yell
Yeah.
inside, because this is
Oh,
gonna
it's
be a very
happen no matter
controversial.
what,
I know.
But
I think you should give some examples though of what kind of
Yeah,
regulations we're
we need to
thinking
put
of.
something with it, yeah.
we want to hold off a month.
We don't want to keep holding off
No,
on
I-
everything.
Yeah.
How long do we have before we have to come up with something? We did a 1-year moratorium.
It's end of March next year.
We do have time to
Right.
write up something.
Yeah, we do.
But then we have to have the town meeting and
Yeah.
that whole.
Yeah.
No, I meant like right up to put out
Yeah, oh,
another
yeah,
survey.
yeah.
I just think something should go with it.
So this
If we
is
want to hear your opinion on
put out your
location. or
September,
whatever, but-
October. We could let it go out in October to November. And we'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, November,
Just-
we're really gonna have to.
Right.
Start.
Could you look at the towns that do have regulations and see what kind of things they restricted?
Yeah, so that was actually the OLR report. I just downloaded, let me show you. So this was, can you see it on the screen?
Oh, I got that.
Okay.
So this is just basically a summary thus far. So this is, they asked towns to report. So, these towns, Ansonia, like all through here, all of these approved in some way, shape or form.
North Stonington, Norwich, yeah.
Yeah, Norwich, well, yeah, Norwich is obviously closest. Let's see, Brooklyn, Connecticut,
How far is it?
Wyndham.
I know what North Stonington's was,
Yeah.
the draft. I'm curious to see what that actually. said.
And then there's a bunch that outright banned.
Click on that and see what they did.
These are not clickable, but we could, we could look up, if you wanted me to pull a couple of examples, we could send those around.
Small town, like Brooklyn, North Stonington, what other small towns have done it?
Thompson. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, Thompson. Did Putnam pass?
No.
Putnam, is considering right now. I think it's under public hearing.
right there and under Preston.
Um,
Town on the next page just refused it.
Columbia is a small town.
Yeah, I saw, he moved
He
back.
moved
up.
it, went back,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
The page
couldn't-
after that
I
one.
couldn't read it fast enough.
Oh, so these are people towns that banned it outright. So these are just prohibitions.
I guess Ledger didn't make that list, but we have a moratorium.
Oh, my.
You have a moratorium? So is that under here? No, I guess they didn't report.
Did they?
Yeah, that's what he just said.
I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Ron
Yeah.
banned it.
Yeah, can you go back down again?
Who banned it?
Groton.
Groton, yeah, but I don't know if that's the city or the town.
Wow.
Yeah, but still, I'm surprised.
I mean, bands and the method.
Well, they don't want them with Route any beaches.
Well, they ban it through planning and zoning.
Oh, they definitely did the
So
beach things.
it's-
You got Whole Line,
so it's not a
Westport,
moratorium,
yeah, Clinton, they just went right down the shore
Oh,
right there.
yeah, they don't want it. Uh-uh.
See, like Woodbury says ordinance and same with Clinton, they did it in ordinance.
Mine did for sure.
Clinton actually did both. The planning and zoning banned it, and then they passed an ordinance.
We can look up Thompson.
Yeah, I could pull Thompson's regs, and I mean we could show you.
That's a big town.
But they're close. What my point earlier was if we have 4
Right.
within 10 minutes, 15 minutes of us, which Norwich is, do we even need a store?
No, I'm just curious what kind of restrictions they
What
put
kind
on,
of
so I was more
restrictions?
interested in a small town,
Yeah,
what restrictions they have.
what regs they did.
Yeah, if you want, I could pull Thompson, Brooklyn, and North Stonington.
Thompson, Brooklyn, North Stonington, yeah.
Those are all small towns along 395.
And then if
I don't
you
think
had
Norwich is
another
very
survey,
big.
you could have a drop down.
Well, it's got an outline.
Types of things
That they
See, I can see a
chose.
dispensary in Norwich easily.
Right, that makes sense.
It's
Right off the
see,
highway,
right.
it's a center area.
That's surprising crowd.
That I'm surprised with the Navy, well, maybe because of the Navy guys.
Could be.
I thought they got a license, somebody had a license, that's where it was opening. Last I had heard.
The town came in.
Well, I'm sure the tribal.
Yeah, they're sovereign.
They can do whatever.
So we're
whatever they
not,
want.
we're not doing another survey this month. We're gonna come up with some
Yeah.
sort of,
Well, we can look at these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Pick
we
out
can
the
have
right-
questions
Much
or,
better idea.
Pick out
Yeah.
the ones that
or
we.
comments out of it that we can put in the survey.
but I think we needed a second survey.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Plus now the town's talking a little.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the survey. Oh, I missed it.
Well,
You know.
I heard from 5 people, you know.
Right.
I
They
didn't
said
see it.
something and they go, oh, we dumped that, we thought it was trash.
Right.
Because it didn't come in a regular format as the town email.
When you have to be signed up for the town.
Correct.
Correct.
But the heading, you know, like when the town email comes in, it says Town of Allentown. This didn't say Town of Allentown, it just said Allentown.
Yeah.
And they thought it was junk mail, and they just dumped it. Because it said,
It must have
it said
been
Allentown, it
picked
said
up email.
cannabis, and they dumped it.
I think, I mean, even despite that, it's the turnout as a percentage of the town was kind of amazing.
Did it go on that Facebook dwelling in bond?
It was everywhere, yeah. It was everywhere.
Couldn't tell you.
Newsletter, website, was everywhere.
I know it was on the homepage. We good with the cannabis stuff now? Yeah. Okay, let's move on. New business. So they just what you got for correspondence, I guess. No new business correspondence. The stuff that you guys got.
So you got a formal notice, all the boards and commissions got a formal notice that the town is proceeding, working with the state for the replacement of the Forge Hill Bridge. You know, the good news on that is it's basically, you know, with the state, the process is obviously a little bit slower, but it's more or less a free bridge.
Nothing's free.
You know, yeah.
We're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
Nothing's free.
Do they have any upcoming meetings planned for that one, John?
I do. Oh, that's right. You're participating in that group. As far as I know, not yet. I think all they're doing is finalizing contracting with the state so that the state can get started on some preliminary, you know, investigation.
Month, so I was kind of surprised.
Well, it said design.
Yeah.
But I've been involved since the beginning. We've been.
Right. So yeah, I'll check with the DOT on it if there's any sort of necessary check-ins. But yeah, I'd also, you know, circle back with Tracy and Julie.
Is it a lot to grant? What's paying for it?
I think it said there's 2, right?
It's a federal local bridge, which so the federal local program is generally the state, the feds pay 80% and the towns pay 20% of costs. However, the state has started a supplementary program called the state-led design for federal local bridges, where essentially the feds still pay the 80%, but the state picks up the town's 20% share and leads the design process. So really the only, and including survey, rights of way acquisition, and construction inspection. So you know, I say it's free. The town's responsibility is actually to have enough money to pay invoices up front and then seek reimbursement. So the town does need to have like a pot of money, you know, to dump out and then fill back up with state reimbursement. But the town is not long-term out of pocket for any of the expense.
That's a shocker.
Right. So if you know folks in any towns, Juliet, I don't know if you have in Ledyard any federal local bridges that are in need of replacement.
Yeah.
But now's the time to act because this, you know, the state is trying to push this program.
notes and I'd have to. Can't take on one more grant.
So I guess the ZEO report, which Pete's not here, you don't know of anything, do you?
I do not. It's funny. I actually just an hour before the meeting started, I got a text from my sister of all people, my sister who lives in Washington D.C., with a selfie of her and Pete. Because my sister happens to work for ICC, the International Code Council, so Pete is she's at their national conference in Louisville, where Pete is right now, and so they said hello from Louisville. But no, no active enforcement matters as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware.
And then general planning discussion. I have a question for you, is what, has the state come up with our training program yet?
Yeah.
And what we're supposed to do?
They have a general curriculum of topics that you can choose among. But there's no prescribed, you need to know these 5 things or these 8 things, other than 1 hour of your 4-hour training over the course of 2 years needs to be relative to affordable housing. But-
Isn't it the year for the law review seminar in Middletown?
Yep, that would count.
That's an excellent one. I mean, that's the best, and it's like.
Yeah, it's Scott, in other words, it's not like you need to take, map reading 101, like codes of conduct, 101. There's no specific curriculum. There are topics that the OPM has indicated would be suitable for training, but it's locally led. You kind of pick your topics, and yeah, there are trainings available.
Online?
Actually, I think CCOG has put a couple of modules together. I could see about that. But yeah, I mean, CCM will be having periodic trainings. Cost will be having periodic trainings. My firm actually, I thought I forwarded it to you guys, and perhaps someone participated. We about 6 months ago had basically 2 attorneys, actually your attorneys, Rich Roberts and Ken Slater from Haller and Sage, put on an hour presentation about ethics and roles and responsibilities. And we, it was a webinar, and we invited all of our commissioners to participate. I'm pretty sure, I thought we sent invitations to you guys, but we'll probably do that again as well. And then, as Juliet suggested, every other year, the Connecticut Bar Association puts on basically a half day or a day long Saturday session. It had been traditionally at Wesleyan. More recently, obviously, because of COVID, it was virtual. But that's, it's like 6 or 7 hours that knocks it all out in one go.
Virtual again, it would be great, because you could sit there and listen to it, doing other things.
Pete and I went just before COVID.
Yeah, but that covers everything.
But yeah, but the official start, I believe, of the training biennium is not until January. I think it's so basically 2023 and 2024, you need to have that 4 hours.
So if you do it now, wouldn't.
Oh, no, I think it still counts. Because it's locally reported. It's not like you need to have done that training just in that year, but you need to have demonstrated that you have received those training hours. So if you want to do a training, like we could certainly, and Rich Roberts has certainly offered to do this. If you wanted to have a session, where he comes in and does a half hour or an hour during a planning and zoning meeting, there you go.
I thought that's what we were going to do.
And you should also just put it out there to the surrounding towns, because they may not, the other commissioners need it too. That's what we were gonna do in Ledyard if I figured it out. I was just gonna invite the surrounding commissioners, in case that was a night they could do.
I thought we'd already discussed it, and we already thought we were having somebody come in during a meeting and doing the training for an hour.
We did talk about it.
Yeah, I think we did too.
I think I probably got them all.
Oh, we have plenty of time for that anyway.
Yeah, we,
But
Not until this stuff is done.
Yeah, so we have
That's why I
another,
mean,
we
we
have
have 2
another
years.
year before, but see, and the way I'm thinking is we should just have them come in and do a 4-hour session.
Yeah.
Or 2 2-hour sessions,
yeah,
not on a meeting night, but something that works for all of us. It's not during the middle of the day.
So
'Cause I
I'm
mean,
assuming
most
it's
everything
not
I
just
always
for us
see is always
commissioners, it
the
would be
middle of
like
the day.
the group Tom heads up with. Inland wetlands, do they need to do that too, like everybody?
All of
Yeah,
them.
so,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So it's not
planning-
just us.
So it's planning and zoning, wetlands and ZBA.
It's actually not wetlands. It's just planning and zoning and ZBA. Wetlands, because wetlands is under a different statute.
Oh,
Well, they need it. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, there's already a requirement that at least one of the commissioners on wetlands has to have gone through the DEP training. But they did not, the bill that added training for ZBA and planning and zoning did not extend to wetlands.
Okay, so it's just us and ZBA.
Correct.
So if I remember right, that's in our contract with the lawyers, the attorneys,
It is, the training
the
one.
training one.
And they're happy to do that whenever.
Yeah, they were good.
I mean, you want to get through this and then do that?
I think we need
then?
to get we're going through the regs, 1 through 6, we still got 7, 8, 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
And the cannabis thing, so that would bring us to the end of the year.
We'll deal with it after that.
And
It
that's
just-
not pending anything else comes up.
Correct.
whatever happened to the apartment that we approved? Didn't we approve the zone change for multifamily so that the building that has the saloon written across? the
I don't
top?
think that one ever,
No, was it, was that?
Yeah, he never came back with an application to develop it.
we were talking about the size of the parking
Right.
and the septic with 4, I mean, that, it never went anywhere, I thought, the last time I
Did he
only
sell
missed
the
last month,
property?
the only one I missed,
I
so.
don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering, because didn't see any
I
action.
saw work going on, then it stopped.
But he didn't have any zoning for, if that was just the reg change, he didn't come in with a site plan or.
No,
Well, I mean, I think he had two legal or non-conforming units there, and he was gonna sort of renovate the inside of the building and work with the 2 units first, but I haven't heard anything.
yeah, the last
Yeah,
time.
because he brought a reg change back. We
Yeah.
took care of that.
But then,
the last time I remember him came in, he came in with a drawing of what he wanted to
Yeah.
do, we looked at that. But then the question of the lot size came up and parking and septic with 4, and it just, and there was more questions, and he was supposed to do something, and then I never saw him again.
Yeah, it would have to come back in an
Yeah.
actual site plan.
I think he also learned, while he was here, that there was a grant, we were gonna put water into, the village.
That came up too.
Yeah, where's that
Maybe
grant
he's waiting
sitting?
That's gonna be a long-term process. We're in process of working with USDA to start with basically a feasibility study and public outreach component. We had applied and got turned down for a state grant, the Community Challenge Grant. And we decided to sort of back up and do some preliminary engineering, sort of we could really get a sense of what the order of magnitude of cost is going to be and do some preliminary outreach to the property owners. Because what we discovered in looking for letters of support is, despite the fact that several property owners were complaining significantly about the restrictions, about their own wells going dry and the significant restrictions that their properties were under because they couldn't get separation distances between wells and uses. People did not want to sign on in support because they didn't want a monthly water bill or a quarterly water bill. So what that tells me is we need to do some public education.
Where's the
Um,
one from? Where are you gonna take the water from?
Develop a well.
Well, I mean, the village center, just north of town hall, the river system there is actually a high yield stratified drift aquifer.
community well.
It's, in theory, geologically, you should be able to get a community well there pretty easily.
But they don't want to pay a monthly fee.
And people didn't want to pay to, have, to change their plumbing, to disconnect from a well and hook up to a public water system, even though that would be part of the grant we'd seek. So people wouldn't have a hookup fee, but, people don't want to pay for anything.
Change, change.
So we need to take a step back and do some community engagement.
Well, my question would be, how many of these wells in town with that drought lost water?
Yes.
Was there a lot?
I mean, it's just anecdotal, but I know Tracy said she'd gotten several complaints of wells going dry.
So it is needed then.
Yeah.
More than one reason.
There was even that really tall guy from Channel 3 that came to town. There was a feature on drought in Voluntown about a month and a half ago.
I left my hose on by accident trying to fill my phone and
Alright. Is there any other
Been hit
discussion?
by lightning 3 times.
Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Approved. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
You're gonna shut everything down?